But first, let's go to fresh claims of misogyny and bullying within Britain's biggest police force. ITV News has heard from a former detective at the Metropolitan Police who's given us an inside account of her time in what she calls a broken system. Jess McDonald claims women officers were preyed upon by male colleagues, describing a culture of sexism and racism. And she is brutally honest in her view of how readily some rape claims were disregarded. Our correspondent Cedric Carrier has this special report.
Jess McDonald was once proud to join Britain's largest police force, but after just 3 years in the Metropolitan Police, she quit.
It's demoralising. It's really, really demoralising because when you're in a broken system, you can try all you like, but there is this break in the system, and so you're almost, I almost broke myself.
Fast-tracked as a detective in frontline policing, working in the rape and domestic violence units, she describes a force where bullying and sexism was rife and a criminal justice system which systematically failed women, particularly victims of rape.
You can't have these crimes against women go unpunished. You can't have women not able to access the justice. You feel like you're fighting a raging fire with a water pistol, such as the sheer volume of the work. And so much of the work we did was futile, not because there wasn't evidence, not because a crime hadn't been committed, but because it just wouldn't be charged. And it was really, really demoralising to be the face of that for women. They'd put their faith and hope in me, and I was the face of, I was the person who said, I'm sorry, we're not taking any further action.
So many cases were dropped, she says. Officers in the unit had a phrase for it.
You would have some officers who would say, oh, yeah, this is going nowhere, it's a crap rape. It's shocking. It is utterly shocking.
Also astonishing how even those investigating sexual offences felt failed. Jess says she doesn't know a single female officer in the unit who would report their own rape to the police.
I would hear colleagues sometimes say, oh, if I got raped, I wouldn't report it. What's the point?
Do you think that that is having an impact on the confidence that the public has?
I put this down to the CPS charging standards, and they want a realistic prospect of conviction. So they want essentially to win cases. And with rape, it often can be one word against the other. We can't be saying, oh, your crime doesn't fit our charging standards.
The Crown Prosecution Service told us it undermines a fair justice system by charging cases that don't meet its legal test. But Jess's claims go beyond the treatment of victims to the treatment of female officers in the force. After police officer Wayne Cousins was convicted for the kidnap, rape and murder of Sarah Everard, and another, David Carrick, was convicted of being a serial rapist, one of the worst sex offenders in British history. Offences that mirror predatory behaviour Jess says she came across in police ranks during her time with the force.
A very close friend of mine was groped on an evening out by a married officer, and him and his wife both worked in the unit that she worked in. She didn't report it and didn't want to be seen as a troublemaker, which I think is a really, really bad stigma attached to people speaking out.
Another colleague photographed naked in the shower while staying in police accommodation through a glass panel above the shared bathroom door.
One of the officers used a phone to look at her while she was in the shower. She burst out and kind of almost caught him red-handed with the phone. He was about to join a rape team, so he would have headed up a rape team as the detective sergeant.
The officer was later convicted and dismissed. But as well as misogyny, Jess witnessed racism too. From a sergeant who she said insisted on arresting, charging and holding in remand a black man for banging on his own front door when his girlfriend locked him out.
But I think the arrest was, I think it was racist. I could not understand why. I didn't get him remanded, kind of deliberately fluffed the paperwork on that. So it did get dropped.
Like so many officers, she joined the force full of hope of making a difference.
It was an enormous toll, really, in the end. I kind of completely burnt out.
The Metropolitan Police told us no formal allegation of bullying was made and they'd encouraged Jess to come forward with more information. But she's left the force feeling helpless and frustrated. Sejal Karia, ITV News.